Hello, I'm Oral, and welcome to Speaking of Everything. Well, I have a surprise. It's not oftentimes that I say to you, I have a person for the first time. Well, this person's for the first time, very dynamic young lady. Her name is Shameeka Kalmera. How you doing, ma'am?
Hi, good morning, Oral.
Good. How are you?
I'm good, and yourself?
I'm great. Happy to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
Your brother is one of the regulars here in this show. A lot of people love him, always asking me to have him on. He share all this information with the people. That's Emilio.
Yes.
That's a big brother, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, and you're an architect and an interior designer, right?
Yes. I studied architectural engineering.
And where are you studying that?
I studied architectural engineering in Haagse Hogeschool in The Hague, in the Netherlands.
And then did you stay there for a while, or you came back to Simran?
No, so I lived in Holland for 8 years, and then after I graduated in 2007, I moved to West Palm Beach, and
West
I
Palm
actually
Beach.
did a different career.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Delta Airlines recruited me for 2 years,
Uh-huh.
and I was a speaker. So I used to travel to Amsterdam and Brussels and India as a speaker on the plane.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
That had to be fun.
Not really. It was interesting, but it was not something that I was expecting to do, but it happened when it had the crash in 2007 with all, the real estates and everything crashed in the U.S. So they recruited me, and I was like, okay, I need a job, so let's just do something while I'm young.
But how you got that? Because I love airline. I love to fly. I love being around planes. That's why I said that's supposed to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was fun because it's very interesting because I got to see the world for free by the time I was 27.
Okay.
So, but it's because I lived in West Palm Beach, but I was based in New York. So I had to fly up to start work and then fly back down to go home. So that is a little wearing on the body. But it was interesting to see all these different places and learn different cultures. So that was very interesting.
Then while I was speaking with you before we started, you surprised me when you told me where you were born.
Yes. Yes, I was born in Miami.
Wow, that's Miami, man. I love Miami.
Yes.
The only thing about Miami, it's too much like the Caribbean, so I prefer New York, but I love Miami.
But New York is also like the Caribbean. I just was in New York a week ago, and it's the same.
Yeah?
Yeah, very cultural.
Yeah, what has surprised me, though, is Sprinkle in Miami is just transformed in the last 4 or 5 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so at this when you go to Miami, you're back home, too, second home.
Yeah, you could say that.
So how was the Netherlands? Because you're architect, interior designer. That's what you studied in the Netherlands, right?
Yeah, so first I studied fashion design for 4 years, and then I moved over to Bouwkunde, which is architectural engineering, and I did that for 4 years. Holland is not for the weak, because I left school at 16, and I was the youngest to get a scholarship from St. Martin. So at 16 to 20, to 24, I should say, it was very interesting, but I'm young, so I can adjust.
Right.
But Holland is not for the weak. It is a whole different culture. We are not really embraced as we should. But, if you have a good support system, you will make it. But if you don't, I have seen a lot of students fall out within the first 2 years.
Right.
And came back home because, it's cold, it's gray, it's not very warm. And if you don't have a good support system, I can see you will fall short.
Is that the reason why so many just drop out and just stay there doing not much at all?
In my time, yes. I'm not sure what's happening now, but when I was there in 1999, that was the case. A lot of people miss home, but I was young, so therefore I can adjust faster than if somebody left at 18, 19 to go to college.
Well, the reason why I think about that is I went to Buffalo, New York, very cold, windy city. No family or friend. My closest brother was down in New York City, hundreds of miles away, and my sister. And I survived there. Mentally, I said to myself, look, it's temporary. I'm here for this short time, 2, 3, 4 years, then I'm back home. I wonder why young people, they don't think like that.
I think it's self-will. You have to want it. You have to understand that without education, you have less chance. But nowadays, everybody's an influencer. So education, sad to say, is not so important as it should be, but it's still very important.
I think what you said is very important because influencer, I don't like that term. It's like, oh, I'm an influencer, I'm this and that. Yesterday I was thinking, I said, I was one of the original influencers. I was doing live calling shows, doing all kind of things. I never thought of myself as an influencer.
Yeah.
Everybody today wants to be an influencer.
Yeah, but influencers make more money than someone who's educated. Depends what they're doing, So, and I think people have lost the dynamics of working hard. People have a self of entitlement, and people like the easy way out. That's just how society is nowadays.
So do you think social media made all that change?
Definitely.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing, huh?
Yeah.
So when you look at the work you're doing, interior design, right? Let's start at that one and we move up to the architectural part. A lot of people now, they'll buy an app, they do what they have to do. Does that affect what you do as an interior designer?
No, not really, because not everybody's my client and I don't work for everybody. I
like
work for people that is very detailed and know what they want. And it's good to have your ideas and then you bring it to me and then I can work off of your vision. So, it's not a problem.
I like how you put it, and know what they want, because sometimes, architect once told me that people come to his office and they doesn't know what they want. I said, well, I know what I want. And that's the difference. So you have to always assume that they know what they want.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's a good point.
Yes.
Yeah. So with interior design, right? I have this preconceived idea that people in St. Martin isn't going to go for that. Maybe I'm old-fashioned. Is that a wrong way to think about interior design?
No, people do go for interior design, ask assistance from interior designers. But it's not going to be everybody because it's not a cheap something either. And of course, it has to be in the budget. But I always advise people that concrete, steel, cement costs what it costs. But what makes a property valuable is the finishes. And that is important. So if you don't have the vision, then it's best to get an interior designer to do that and help guide you through it, because it's just a one-time something and then maybe in the next 15 to 20 years you'll renovate again. But the thing is, everybody watches HGTV and think they're a big designer, and then some designs I see is like, oh wow, okay. It's personal, luxury is personal.
Yeah. So then you have to work with the client to see, get their feeling of what they want and how we can put it all together.
Yeah. So most of the time, clients come to me with an idea, and then I would be like, okay, let's go to like the tile place or the furniture place or whatever, and then we select the details and the color schemes and all of that.
Yeah. How you feel as a designer when it comes to couples? And the reason why I say that, I notice that normally the wife have most of the ideas, and sometimes it could be difficult.
I listen to both sides and I try to take a middle. That's the best way to do it. You listen to the husband or the boyfriend, and then you listen to the wife or the girlfriend, and then you come with a solution, because your job is to come with a solution and come and bring their vision to life. So you take pieces of both individuals and try to make it one. And I really don't have any problems.
So you have experienced that situation with couples, right? Yeah.
But I'm very convincing
to
do it my way.
So how you see St. Martin now in terms of interior design? You see people finally coming on to it, or coming to you and...
I have my clients, yes. I have my clients.
And local people?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Do you think maybe those interior shows have helped in a way? The show that you mentioned a while ago, but that they watch on HDTV?
I'm not sure if it helped, but some people just realize that they cannot be perfect in everything, so they give jacket. So that's my conclusion.
Okay.
Some people still try to do it, but then I wouldn't say a disaster, but.
From your experience as an interior designer, what you see as some of the biggest mistakes we make on the island?
The biggest mistakes I see is that we choose like the exterior paint colors. We use a lot of bright colors, but if you're gonna use a bright color, you have to use a good quality paint because the sun is gonna bleed out that color so bad that in a year time from now, it didn't make sense for you to invest and spend money painting the exterior. Another issue I also see is that we like to use different tiles in different rooms when you should just use one tile for the overall floor plan, and then if you want to use a different tile for the exterior, that's fine. But I've seen people use in a bedroom one tile, in the kitchen another tile, in the bathroom another tile, and it just looks like confusion, in my opinion.
So it should be a flow.
It should be a flow, So those are two things I have seen, and then another thing is every room a different color. Like for me personally, no, but if that floats your boat, go right ahead. Because like I said, luxury is personal, so you do what you want. But for me personally, no.
Yeah, I'm laughing because most homes is about that build where you have different tiles in different rooms. And that's maybe a Caribbean thing, right? Probably.
Well, sometimes we also extend our houses, so you will never get back the same tile. But what you can do is try to match a tile similar, or you got everything if you can afford it, and then do it over.
And what about curtains? Though you get issues with people with curtains, do they come ask you about that?
Well, no. But my biggest problem I have with curtains, and I hope I'm not offending anyone, is that if you have a bedroom door, why do you put a curtain in front of a bedroom door? You can simply close the door and you have the privacy. So I have seen that and I'm just like, it makes the house too cluttered, Yeah. And in these times, everything is energy. Every piece is energy. So therefore, the less things you have in your house and the less clutter you have in your house, the more free you would feel. People don't realize that, but our generation, Caribbean people, they just like to hoard a lot of stuff. And that for me, I'm a minimalist and I have type A personality, and OCD. So it is a lot for me too, especially when I go to appraised houses and I'd be like, ooh, this is a lot, but
Yeah, you like more simplicity. Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. All right, in case you've just joined us, I'm Oral Gibbs here, and speaking of everything on YouTube, Facebook, and on Hot 99.9 FM radio station, my guest is none other than Miss Shameeka Kalmera. She is an interior designer and architect. And the name of your company, Shameeka?
It's House of Designs.
House of Design, right?
Yes.
And you're available to customers 9 to 5, Monday to Friday.
From 8 to 4, Monday to Friday.
Yeah. Where's your office? You have an office?
Yes, I have a home office in Clark State.
All right, good. So I'll tell you what, when we come back, we're going to continue with you, right? Okay? We're going to be right back. Please stay us right here and speaking of everything.
We are vibrant, expressive, warm, and diverse. Together, we conquer, and now we expand into new horizons, giving you more of the best. Introducing our new Banco Matico Plus with wider acceptance, purchase protection, and enhanced security. Whether you're online, traveling, or in paradise, experience more with Windward Island Bank. Banco Matico Plus, more of the best.
My guest right here and speaking of everything with me is Miss Shameeka Kalmera. She's an interior designer, architect, and the company is House of Design, right?
Correct.
Yeah. You do a lot of things, and I know you also do appraisal reports.
Yes, I do.
How important are appraisal reports?
It's very important because it helps the government and the notary with the transfer tax. It also helps people doing things under the table.
You really?
Yes. So
maybe you can explain how you mean in that sense. Don't want to share that one. Okay.
I'll plead the fifth on that one.
Okay.
But I think you know what I mean, and I think most audience would know what I mean. Yes.
So the value of the property is important.
Correct.
Right now, we don't have any we have property tax on the books, but it's not implemented. And a lot of people are wishing that will never happen. But if it happened, then do they also use appraisal reports for that kind of situation?
Well, you would use appraisal reports for various things. For example, you will use an appraisal report to get a loan. You will use an appraisal to do a transfer or inheritance.
Right.
Or like if you have a splitsing that say I build on top of your house and I want to subdivide and it's on government long lease, you will also use an appraisal for that, for domain to do the subdivision and the splitsing.
Okay. And so you come in, you look at the property. What are some of the factors that determines the value of a property?
Well, like I said earlier, concrete, steel, cement, all cost what it costs. But what brings a value of a property is the finishings, the level of the quality of windows and doors, the quality of tiles, the quality of kitchens, if you have quartz, if you have tile, if you have laminate countertops. You know, that brings the value. Also, the style and the detail also brings the value. What type of roof you have, you know. So
concrete roof is different than, say, a zinc roof?
Yeah, because with a concrete roof, most people would put drywall ceilings and soffits and different things. That also brings up the price. You know, you have a wood roof, you know, with good rafters and, you know. That also brings up the price, the design, the craftsmanship. So that is what brings a value higher than someone else, is the level of finishes. Everybody thinks they bill, but if you use cheap finishes, because you can get a $500 toilet opposed to a toilet that's $150. It will be. I will see the difference because I know the brands.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you know, I had a banker here on the show many years ago. He's since retired. He says to me, you know, Earl, we don't care about your property because we're not in the real estate business. He said people build homes in some areas in St. Martin, and they said, well, it's appraised for $1 million. No, but nobody's going to buy it for $1 million because of the neighborhood where it's built.
Correct.
Yeah. You see that a lot?
Yeah, so that is the subject of substitution, because I can build $1 million house in a certain, I'm not going to call it a neighborhood because I don't want to.
Yeah.
But I can build $1 million house in certain districts. And then I could build that same $1 million house, like for example in lowlands. But the market value would never be $1 million in a low income district, even though I bought it that way. Because you have a difference between a calculated cost of a property and then you have a market value. That's something different, which I think a lot of people don't understand, you know?
You mean the market value they don't understand? Or?
They don't understand the difference between a calculated cost of a property and a market value. For example, I could live in a low income area and I could add a pool and I could spend $30,000 building a pool. Doesn't necessarily mean my property automatically increases $30,000 more. But if I build that pool in an area that had several pools and it's, you know, well-kept properties, I might spend $30,000 on the pool, but it would give my property value $50,000 additional, you know? So you have to be careful overbuilding in certain areas. Yes, I understand if people get a piece of land, they will build to their comfort, but will you get back your money? Chances are no. So even though you paid $1 million to build, doesn't necessarily mean your market value will be at $1 million. Yeah, and that is the difference.
Yeah, and I went to some places, I'm going to call the name, and I was shocked. I was really surprised when I saw that these people had pools built, and the pools were not built the way it should be built, but at least they had a pool, and that was their dream, you know. But I think when it comes to market value, there's also another value, quick sale. We see in appraisal reports. Can you explain that one, please?
So an auction, funny, I had this conversation with a client on my way here.
Yeah.
So you have the market value, and quick sale is called an auction value. So that it would be usually around 70% from the market value. And that is just a threshold number that a bank would use in case you default at the bank, that they will take that number. The only way they will take a higher number from the auction value is if you are in arrears so bad that they have to put it a little higher. But that is what that is meant.
Okay. And people talk about appraisers, some being conservative. What do they mean by that?
Well, you know, to me, when people say that, is a matter of opinion. And I always ask the question, if you're going to say something, can you explain what you say?
Yeah.
And oftentimes a lot of people can't explain what they mean when they say certain things. Because you have a construction at, like, say, $1,350 a square meter, up to, you can build up to $2,200 a square meter. And then you have ranges. So you have standard finishes, then you have mid-end finishes, and then you have high-end finishes. So if I go in a house and it's a big villa, but it's dated, I'm not going to put the highest value on your house just because it's in a nice area, but it's dated.
Yeah.
You have to get with the time. Every 20 years, you have to pretty much gut your entire property. So some people might say, yes, but it's in this area and it's conservative. You know, no. Check the details of the house. It's a big house, doesn't mean it's worth a lot of money if the interior is dated.
Yeah, no, I know a person, I won't call the name, that everyone's saying, it's not you, by the way, all said, that person is so conservative that if you're gonna sell your property, make sure avoid that person. But if you're gonna buy a property, go to that person. You heard that before?
Yes, I heard that before.
Yeah, but when you do an appraisal, you have to check with the cadastre too, right?
Not necessarily, only when I'm looking for comparable sales.
Okay.
But I have the list of all the properties that's sold. So I could just look in my cadastre list and then try to find similar properties. And most of the time I know about the properties, I know how they look, so I just try to compare it. But because we're so small, we have to make adjustments, you know, in the values of stuff. How
you see real estate now in St. Martin in terms of quality and people understand of what it's all about, because we have like this boom again now.
We have this boom, but the boom is not for us.
That's true. That's true. And that's a painful part of it. Yeah,
we have a boom, but it's not for us because the average person cannot afford $300,000 for a one-bedroom condo.
That's high. That's like Miami prices.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the thing about it is that we don't see that changing anytime soon. That would not.
No, I don't. Actually.
But you know, I look back at when I built my first house. The mortgage was 14% in 1991.
Yes.
Today, the interest rate is a lot lower.
Yes, you can get an interest rate at 5% now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing, though.
Yeah, you can get an interest rate at 5%, but you can't afford to buy land.
Yeah, the land is with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's scarce now too.
It's very scarce, indeed.
So you see a lot of young people coming to you asking you for ideas and so forth, and.
You know, it has. I have a good bit of young people that purchase properties, but they do it together. You know, the only advice I would say is, if you are with someone, just make sure whatever you do, you can service that mortgage by yourself in case anything happens or you guys break up or something happens to the partner, that you can cover that mortgage by yourself. Don't overextend.
And that's difficult in today's job market, to find a young couple that can handle that on their own.
Yes, if they want the dream, the nice house, picket fence, it would be a little more challenging, but it's all to do with your priorities.
Yeah. No, that's another one. I remember when I was younger, I had this architect did a plan for me. It was huge. I went to the bank, and our time Vic was, he said, Oral, no, he said, you're making a mistake. Don't do that. I listened to him, took his advice, and I never regretted it. I paid off my mortgage before time, and that was it. But that banker was a friend to me. He said, don't do it. It's not going to work. You can always go gradual. And you see that a lot, right?
Yeah, so I would advise a lot of my clients when they come to me with these massive building plans, I would be transparent with them and said, I am not undermining you or anything, but I'm not sure if you can afford to build this whole house in one shot. But what I can advise, dependent, so I would ask, an example, if did you check with the bank how much money do you qualify to borrow?
Okay, point.
And then they would tell me, and I said, okay, I would advise to do this. Let me appraise the ground floor first, and then I appraise the upper floor in sections. So you can see how much or how far you can go. Because it doesn't make sense to come to me and I do an appraisal report for you and the house costs $500,000 and then the banks tell you, no, but you can only borrow $250. Then you have to come back to me again. You'll have to pay for a new appraisal report. And then I have to appraise just the ground floor. So I ask certain questions first because I don't like to do things twice. Yeah. Samaritan has this mentality, culture of the go, come back.
Yeah, I'm not in for that.
I can't stand that. So I ask the right questions in order to help my client more better,
Yeah, but you made a very good point there. And I think a lot of young people can benefit from what you just said. Because I could never figure out why an architect, and this was before your time, will draw such a huge house for a client that didn't even ask for it to be like that. But you're young, you don't know much, so you go to the bank with it, and that's where the problem comes in.
Yes.
Yes. So I'm glad to hear from you that it's different, because a lot of our people got screwed up unfortunately by architects. I know there's a person in the neighborhood where I lived, and the architect made a wrong calculation on the property in terms of excavation, and could never be fixed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's also important, right? The land, the slope, how you're going to build on it, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So, what else you want to share with me? Because I can have you talk. I don't want to ask you too much for that.
Well, another thing is very important that a lot of people, I guess it comes from our grandparents that tell us that land does not go down in value. That is a big, great misconception. Everything drops in value. Land goes up in value, land goes down in value. So when people come to me and say, yes, but my land dropped in value, is supply and demand.
That happened after Hurricane Irma. Yeah.
Yes, it's all about supply and demand and where people are now moving, want to be.
Yeah.
And of course, environmental matters. Like on the east side of St. Martin, we have environmental matter with the sargassum. When that thing starts to rot, it's terrible.
Stinks, yeah.
So the land value on that side has dropped over time.
But the thing is, in 1990, right? The average price per square meter was $30 for land in St. Martin, basically in almost most areas. Today, wow.
Yeah.
I don't want to call the price. Maybe you could help me here because it's scary.
Well, it depends. Depends where you are. It can start, and of course, it's a couple of things, couple of factors. The bigger the property is, the less it would be per square meter. But it depends on the area, the location, what you're seeing, right? What's built around, and then the smaller the property, it would be more per square meter. But when you calculate it, it maybe amounts to $60,000-$70,000, for example.
Yeah.
So it's just not a straightforward answer. But properties range between $95 to up to, I've seen $350 a square meter or even more.
More, yeah.
And this is just residential. Now commercial is something different.
Because I know some residential properties now are in the upwards of the 400 plus per square meter, and here in St. Martin. And then you look at places where you could get a piece of land for, say, $25 a square meter back in 1990s, now up to $95 a square meter.
Correct.
So in that case, land increases in value over time anyways. Maybe like
It
the stock-
increases,
yeah.
yes, but in the time of the appraisal,
Yeah.
you have to check to see what is going on in that area.
Okay.
You know, because in the last 2 years it might have been booming, but then now if you look at the comps and I analyze comps. There's one thing I like to do is research and analyze. So when you analyze the comps, you're like, the value has dropped in this area, which is happening on the east side of the island right now.
Yeah, really?
And then on the west side of the island, the prices has increased tremendously.
So you think that might be just a temporary thing on the east side because that sargassum is not going to be there all the time, I assume.
No, it's not, but it's where people want to be.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be over the hill for some reason.
When you say over the hill, which
So I mean like Cooper Coy, Simpson
okay.
Bay,
Yeah.
you know, everybody wants to be over on this side. So
Right.
here's where the market is booming,
Okay.
you know.
Right. So and it's a pity, man. I see things and I wish our people could be a part of this boom, but it's unfortunate for us. You know, and
I would say that is our elders. That's the fault of our elders.
really.
Because they should have left generational wealth, or they should have put things in place for the younger generation. Because St. Martin was owned by St. Martiners.
That's true. That's true. You know, I have this policy. I don't like to sell. I buy. I don't sell. You know, you don't find many St. Martiners like that today. A lot of people have sold their property for a car
Yeah.
back in the 90s. That is unfortunate too.
And the problem with that is you sell your property, you spend the money, and that's it.
Right.
Opposed to if you just invest in a property, you will have it there for a long-term investment, and you can rent it, and you could always get $1 out of that. But when you sell a property, the money is going to be finished within 2 years or a year, depending, you know. But if you sell a property and reinvest, that's something different. But nowadays, for example, if you have a beachfront property and you sell that, chances are you can't afford to buy it back.
Yeah. No, you definitely won't be able to buy it back.
Exactly.
You know, but I'm glad that I had you on the show because I think you share a lot of good information that also our young people can know and understand about the work that you do. I gotta ask you one thing before we go there, because as an architect, right, do the banks hire you to supervise construction and progress reports?
Yes, they do. I
Yeah.
also do several progress reports for the banks.
Yeah.
And the reason for progress reports is that to keep the client and the contractor in check, that he use the money to complete the project as planned and not take the money and go on a vacation and buy a car
Really?
and stuff like that.
I laugh at you because that used to happen a lot years ago. The banks are not anymore, right? So you got to come and make sure, check the progress of the construction.
Yes.
Then you make your report. Then the bank will make its payment.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct. So every phase I come, like say the scope of works is say excavation, foundation walls, pouring up the slab.
Yeah.
That would be phase 1, for example, and then I would come and check, okay, phase 1 has been done, good. The quality is satisfactory to my eyesight, and I will write a report and say release the funds in stage 2.
Now, what about the bad boys, the contractors? Do they get like, oh, what she thinks she is? I mean, because like customer work with men, not with women in this field.
Yeah, when people see me because I'm short and small, so they be like, who is this girl or this little girl coming? And I'm like, and then when I open up my mouth and start to speak, they be like, oh, okay. I don't think we could mess with her too much. And I think she has some sense and she know what she's doing. Because I don't go and promote and say, I'm an engineer. You know, I don't go and say, hey, I'm an engineer, I know what I'm doing. No, I leave everybody think that they could get one up on me. And then I check them.
I love it. It was a pleasure having you. As I mentioned in the beginning, your brother Emilio Kalmera is an amazing young person, you know, and you're also an amazing young lady. And I want to wish you much success.
Thank you.
And your business again name is
House of Designs.
And what's your number? Can I call you?
Yes, my number is 721-526-0606.
Well, Mrs. Kalmera, thank you, and it's good having you in the program. All
Thanks
right?
for having me.
All the best success.
Thank you.
And that's it for now on Speaking of Everything on YouTube, Facebook, and on Hot 99.9 FM radio. See you next time. Take care. Bye.